Welcome back to Brashonomics. I am Ben Brashen, and a lot of people who have good credit also may be thinking about the opportunities that lie ahead with bigger homes, nicer homes. Maybe you want to move to the water, get a view. Ramona Jones joins us with a career in real estate that spans more than 15 years. She's among the top 2% of realtors in Keller Williams nationwide and a recipient of their President's Elite Award. I guess you have won the Oscar. The Real Estate Oscar President Elite Award, huh?
If you want to call it that.
red carpet, the whole nine going in there.
Yeah, a little bit of carpet. I don't have a nice gold statue, but it feels good.
We'll see if we can get you one of those.
There you go.
Well, Ramona, you work in a lot of very high-end properties, a lot of very nice real estate, and there are people who maybe are considering that jump up, especially with interest rates where they are, with home prices where they are. What are some of those big opportunities that you see for some of those high-end buyers?
Well, I think a lot of potential high-end buyers don't realize the opportunity is out there. So you've got people that are move-up buyers, they've owned a home or maybe two, and they think the market isn't right for them to be able to make that move. But homes in the South End under 300 and further north, maybe under 500 or 600, go pretty quickly in this market with multiple offers. Sellers with higher end homes, those are sitting on the market a little longer. So the opportunity number one is, being able to get out of that house. People don't realize they can do that. And then also the potential in the new house. So homes that were, 800 to maybe 1.2 in the South End 5 years ago can be had for $5 to $750. And those are really, really nice houses, view homes, large homes, just incredible opportunities. And I don't think a lot of buyers know that the potential is there.
And so it sounds to me like there's this, you have the ability to kind of get out of your lower priced home. And those prices have come up.
They have.
Pretty substantially. But some of the higher end homes maybe haven't followed that same increased trend.
Correct. And the lower end stuff has lost value over the years, but percentage-wise, just as an example, say the market where you live has gone down 25%. You've got a $200,000 house and you're looking at a $600,000 or $800,000 house. 25% of 200 is a lot less than 25% of the upper end.
Sure.
So you're making up for that. A lot of people focus on that equity that they thought they had. They're losing something that you never really had. The market goes up. It's kind of like the stock market. If you don't sell at the top, you never had that money. And they have a hard time grasping that loss. But when you think about it, it's so much less than the value you're gaining when you're moving up. And if you're planning on staying in a house, you will recover that over time. So it's really a great time to get out there and make it happen.
Well, and as values are starting to go up, it's kind of the opposite end of that spectrum. If you have a bigger house and property values are going up 10% or 8% or whatever it is, you gain more equity in the higher priced homes than you do in the lower.
Absolutely. That's a good point. So in the lower end, you gain, say we're back up to double digits, which isn't that unreasonable. In Seattle and the East Side, they've already experienced that in pockets. So, 10% of 200,000 versus 10% of 600,000 or 800,000, there's much more to gain in the high end.
Absolutely. So, a lot of people now are always interested, especially if they're thinking about moving up. They still want to get that good deal.
Right.
The deal of maybe, and people think short sales or bank-owned properties. Are those available? I mean, is that as prevalent in the higher end as it is in maybe some of the lower end price points?
It is. It's across the board. And depending on which pocket you're looking in, you will find incredible opportunities in view properties, in waterfront. Some of those higher end properties are going to need a little something. We do have investors out there that are snatching up the killer deals. But as you get higher, a lot of investors don't want to tie up $800,000 on a flip, for instance.
Sure.
So for somebody who's looking for something like that, so I know of a house in northeast Tacoma, gorgeous view, 6,000 square feet, sold for 2.4, and it's right around $1 million now. And it might need $50,000 in cosmetic upgrades. That's a great opportunity for somebody in that price range. And people just don't realize that those kind of deals are out there.
And that sounds like an Arizona price drop.
Absolutely. It's amazing how much it's gone. It's just a major opportunity, and this one in particular is a short sale, but the lender has already approved the price. It's something that can close very quickly. When you get to those higher-end distressed properties, those lenders, those lien holders, they're in communication because they don't want that property back.
Well, and a lot of times from the mortgage side, those are portfolioed loans. So it's really, they're lending out their own money.
Yes.
And, they want it back.
They want it back, absolutely.
Very different game to play. Ramona Jones is here with us. Ramona, so the deals are out there. The opportunity is there. And I guess you really have to just figure out if it's the right time for you as a buyer to capture those two things.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think buyers, too, need to work with their agents. If you don't have an agent, you can call someone with our office. If you're looking for something specific, those houses may not be on the market, but there are sellers out there who may not realize there's a buyer for their property, and a good realtor will dig those sellers up. We have ways of contacting people that have maybe been on the market before, or even just targeting a neighborhood to find those homes.
Are there high-end sellers that you said dig them up? Are there high-end sellers that maybe are considering that just aren't ready to put it on the market? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, they just don't know, I mean, it can be hard if you've had your house on the market before, it hasn't sold, it's discouraging. You still hear news about the market improving in places, but there's negative media out there still. They just don't realize that they may have some potential in terms of getting their place sold, especially something that is updated or has a great view, waterfront footage, that type of thing. They're really hard to come by. I have probably a half a dozen buyers right now in the 500,000 to 800,000 range in the South End. So looking for just a nice home, good floor plan, parking view, and they're not finding what they need. So those sellers, if you're listening out there, they're buyers.
It's amazing. That comes up more and more these days. I mean, again, we've talked about the lack of inventory kind of in the core Seattle, the east side, but it sounds to me like in the South End, it's a similar experience.
It is. And, the funny thing is we've got buyers, empty nesters, for instance, just a couple. And it's not really about price. They'll call me on $1 million home that's not right, and I'll scour the market, and there's just that right home isn't out there for them. It's not even about the money. It's about finding that right home. So it really is. It's a great time for a seller with a nicer high-end property. Get it on the market.
You talk about Tacoma homes and the luxurious homes down in the South End. Are there pitfalls that high-end sellers can still run into, even though that there might be ripe for sales?
Absolutely. Back in the day when everything was selling quickly, you can have a waterfront lot that's really narrow, for instance, or the house has an odd floor plan, and you put it on the market, and just because it's waterfront, it sells immediately. Those days are over. I'm not sure if they'll ever come back, but at this point in the market, you really have to be aware of what you have. Work with your realtor, be really honest about what the negatives are, if there are updates needed, because buyers are making a decision to buy the most value for the money. So they're not just going to buy something because it's 100 feet of waterfront. If it needs a lot of work, they'll buy something else with the same view. Maybe you can't walk out onto the water, but the same view for a couple of $100,000 less. That's what they're going to buy. So just really be aware of what you have, price it well, make sure it shows well. So things like, adding some granite to the kitchen, updating appliances, lighting, hardware, things that don't cost a lot, not major remodels.
In the grand scheme of things.
In the grand scheme of things, put that money into the house and you'll get it sold.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, again, we get into those high-end buyers. A lot of them are also looking – we talk a lot about first-time home buyers wanting a turnkey house.
Yes.
But as people are looking for their move-up home, they're probably looking for the same thing oftentimes.
Right now, nobody wants to buy a house and have to put $100,000 into it. They want to buy a house that they could move into. It doesn't have to be, top of the line. It doesn't have to look like brand new construction, but it needs to be updated enough where somebody can live in it and do things over time.
Sure, makes a lot of sense. Ramona Jones is here with us with the Jones Group discussing some of the luxury real estate in the South End. We just have a couple minutes before we have to go to break. When you talked about, you talked about waterfront versus view properties and the ability for people to, I guess, make that choice if they're looking for homes. What are some of the pluses and minuses, I guess, of both? And is there a big draw towards one versus the other?
Well, there's a lot of different kinds of waterfront. So there's low bank waterfront where you could walk right out of your door and onto the beach. Sometimes you don't have a beach around here. It could be real rocky. We've got higher banks. So we have properties where you're paying more taxes on what's called waterfront because you own that. But if it's up on a bluff It's really difficult to get down there. And you have to weigh that out. Are you wanting to, do you have a boat that you want to keep on your property? Is there a dock? Are you able to build a dock? A lot of things to look at. And a lot of times, if you just want to be near the water, you could be a block off with an incredible view and spend a lot less money because you're not paying the premium for the waterfront. Now, if it's something where the water is important, you have friends with the boat and you want them to be able to, come across the lake and have lunch with you, if that's your lifestyle, and it's a long-term...
Which doesn't sound too bad, by the way.
It doesn't sound too bad. And you're looking at more of a long-term investment, then it's definitely worth paying the premium for that waterfront, because the time will come where it's a premium again, and people are going to be willing to pay a lot more for that. There's a limited amount of space in terms of waterfront footage. So when you own it, it's going to be valuable.
Yeah, well, so what I kind of hear you saying is that there's a lot of high-end buyers who are willing to, or are not willing to pay the premium necessarily to get on the water, and they're willing to kind of take a step back and go, well, we could be close and pay a lot less, and also a lot less in taxes than we can just by moving across the street. And the amenity of living across the street maybe isn't worth the extra money. Right,
absolutely. And, a lot of times in waterfront communities, you'll have beach rights. You'll have, we have a boardwalk out south, Redondo. A lot of great beachy feeling neighborhoods where you don't have to be right on the beach to feel like you live on the beach. So great opportunities out there.
Ramona, so when people are then going into some of these, these higher end purchases, and you talked a little bit about, pricing it right. What is the best way to find that house that you're looking for when there's so few on the market?
Really work with your realtor. Let them know, maybe the 3 top things that you want in a house. I tell people all the time, you're not going to get 100% of your wish list. Excuse me. But have your realtor really dig in and see what's out there. Get into the multiple and look at homes that have been on the market and haven't sold in the past, that maybe they can contact those sellers. Or, for a smaller community, we're willing to go door knocking or calling people. There are ways to dig up those sellers. There are so many people out there who would love to get out of their properties.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like if you have the right real estate agent or realtor working for you, and you're looking to go find something on the beach or maybe near it, it's kind of like almost taking a metal detector and trying to find that properties. People would try to find coins or rings, and
absolutely,
because they're just not. They're not above the sand, maybe.
They're not above the sand yet.
That's right. Ramona, thanks so much for joining us. We do have to go to break. Stick around for a few minutes. Okay. Join us for the end of the show.
Okay.
We'll be right back after this break. You're listening to Brashonomics.